I think that it's appropriate to feel fear right now. If we weren't feeling any fear, it would probably mean that we're in a deep freeze state. What happens when there's a real threat, which this is, we have to discern what's the best option for us. How are we going to keep ourselves the safest? We use all of our senses, we read, we get informed, we make a decision about what to do. But we know that we can be safer or not as safe depending on what's going on. But we know that a lot of people are going to get this virus and get very sick, and some people are going to die. So that's the truth. And we've seen that certainly in China and in Europe and in Italy. A lot of the coverage that kind of hits close to home is what's going on in Italy. And that's a reason why a lot of people are saying, I'm willing to do whatever's necessary to flatten the curve so we don't all get sick at the same time. We have people that we care about that might be more vulnerable as well. So this is something that's true and real, and it's a threat that we need to respond to. And this is what our nervous systems are made for. They're made for real threats. Like, this is the tiger jumping out of the bush. How are we going to respond to this? But then we also have this modern life where we have the thinking brain has been developed over evolution, and it often will get hijacked by the primitive brain. So the primitive brain is going, safety at all costs, safety first. I don't care about connecting with other people. I don't care if other people have food. I just want to make sure this body lives. And so on a really primitive brain level, that's what our urgency is. And that's why we're seeing a lot of hoarding and people also not taking it seriously. Like, spring break apparently is just as usual in Florida, and all these kids are spreading the virus and not thinking. That's another symptom of our defense mechanisms coming in. It's like, I'm going to pretend this isn't true because I can't handle it if it is. Our defense systems are always trying to make it the most comfortable we can be. So if we were to sit here and acknowledge that this is the truth, then we're going to feel fear. And a fear is a very uncomfortable thing for most people, especially people who have a lot of trauma in their background, because we've grown up with the experience of fear, of there's nobody here for us, we're on our own. And that is being triggered in a lot of people as well. And then we get into the fight response, which is another understandable response of the nervous system. It's one that often people shame themselves for because it feels dangerous. And it can definitely lead to more violence. And so people have the fight response, and then they're lashing out at other people. Maybe the inner critic is getting really virulent. We're being really nasty with ourselves. So all of this is an attempt to get rid of or manage or avoid the fear. So the more stable way to move through this, or the way that we could actually move through it and be present with it without being triggered into the primitive brain so much, is to really work with calming our nervous system and calming our mind. Work with catastrophic thinking, so that if we're going ahead several steps beyond just the simple basics of what we need to take care of ourselves, we could just acknowledge, right now there's a lot of fear in my mind. I can feel my shoulders are up. What could I do to down-regulate my system? So that's basically what we're doing here. And that's partly why we feel better when we're here, is that we're getting a break from the fear and from the I don't know what to do. And often I'll say, all we need to do right now is the practice. So really, we don't need to figure anything out. We can let all of that come to a rest and just breathe and relax our body. The fear is really legitimate, and it's a nervous system response that we all have. And then part of the difference in how this plays out is how are people working with that.